Hello, Kyle here. Before we start this month's episode of Punchline Podcast, first an apology for it being 2 weeks late, and also during the interview with Alf, some of the sound quality is not the best, so we apologise for that. But now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Punchline Podcast, a podcast about wordplay, one-liners and puns. I'm Kyle Davis and with me is my partner in crime,
Mark Rivlin. Hello.
Hello. So what have you been up to, Mark?
Well, I don't know. I've been looking for work. Got a part-time job in a bowling alley. I'm temping.
And have you gigged much the last month?
Yeah, I've been doing loads of gigs all over the pubs and clubs of London. I don't get paid for doing it, but I have been offered big money to stop.
And how is it being back live?
It's absolutely brilliant, honestly. I mean, it was really nice of them to dig me up, first of all.
And you have a new favourite pun you've written over the last 4 weeks?
Well, let me have a little think about that and carry on talking for the time being.
I'll go to mine then. This
Yes.
one came to me the other day. I had to escape from the world's first transparent beach. Luckily, the coast was clear.
Oh, dear me. Well, I can tell you, I've been doing this joke on the circuit and people seem to like it. So I went into a bar. I said to the bar, I'm going to have a lemonade, please. He said, still lemonade? I said, yeah, I haven't changed my mind. I also insert a gerund ending in ing before change my mind, just to give it a bit of impetus, so to speak.
So we get straight into it.
Away we go.
It's now time for 10 Pun Alley, a feature where one of us chooses a topic and we write 5 jokes each around that topic, just to try to make each other laugh. And obviously you, the audience. It was Mark's turn.
Both of you.
Yes. And it was Mark's turn this month. And I must admit I was surprised last night to have the WhatsApp through with the topic fetishes.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I've got a real fetish for hummus. I like to watch my chick pee. And actually, I've got a fetish for doctors. I like to watch my GP. And I've got a fetish for older ladies. I like to watch my OAP. And to be really honest with you, I've got a fetish for people who died. That's my RIP.
My girlfriend is into role-playing in the bedroom, which is great, except when I can't roll a 16 to initiate sex.
Well, I went to a really good S&M party last week, and it was so good. We had a whip round for the hostess. Yeah.
People into foot fetishes. People into foot fetishes. A leg end. Legend.
Legend. Yeah. And we also went out for a slap-up meal.
Apparently, some people have a fetish for ears.
Oh, yeah.
Which I've only just heard about.
Well, I'd like to actually tell you, Kyle, and all our listeners, both of them, how I got into bestiality. But it'll take too long because it's a shaggy dog story.
People with an arousal to sex in front of mirrors need to take a long, hard look at themselves.
Okay, this month's interviewee, double E at the end, is a gentleman by the name of Alf, A-L-F. You can find Alf at Who Else But Alf. That's his handle on Twitter. And if you look at the name Chris Leworthy, spelt Leworthy, Britain's Got Talent, you will see the real Alf.
Hello, and this month's Punchline Podcast interview is with Alf. Alf is a comedian from Devon who in 2016 was a semi-finalist on So You Think You're Funny and appeared in season 12 of Britain's Got Talent in 2018. A stalwart of the lunch pun hashtag game on Twitter, Alf is known for his prop comedy and one-liners. Hi Alf, how are you?
Fine, Carl.
There are many punsters, not many on the circuit, but there are some. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, Alf, I think your comedy is outstanding. You embrace the creativity, delivery, and you have the ability to turn the punchline into something completely unexpected from the line that starts the joke. So just tell us how you got into this kind of comedy.
I remember I bought a Tim Vine DVD back in 2003. I think it was one of his first ones. And me and my mates, when we were not at college, we were watching it and learning it all and, memorizing it. So since then, I've loved like one-liners and puns and stuff. And Tim Vine does a lot of props and that sort of visual gag. So I sort of essentially I've gone, I want to do what Tim Vine is doing, but obviously not as good as Tim Vine, but that sort of musical, proppy, one-linery sort of thing, really.
Have you ever been able to catch a pen behind your ear?
Not that gifted. It's a good bit to do, though, isn't it? It feels 10 minutes of a comedy act doing that. That's I'd love like a time waster. I've got this one little bit in my act where I put a massive passport on my head and I faff about with it for like 2 minutes, and there's no punchline really. I just it keeps falling down, and in the end I had to prop it up by lying on the floor, and it's essentially 2 minutes of me going, what am I going to say next? But the crowd really enjoy just an idiot faffing about with a great big cardboard passport, something visual. And then I think the only line I've got that goes with it is I open it up and go, it looks nothing like me, because I've got my head stuck through it. I do that, and I just go back to doing my other jokes whilst wearing this massive passport. So sort of an obscure sort of try not to mention it after that, just keep it on for as long as I can get away with it, really.
Was it always just puns, or did you start doing a different type of comedy and move into puns?
No, I started on Twitter, really. I think I started in 2011. But like, I think my first open mic was early 2015. And at that point, I'd been doing one-liners on Twitter for 2 or 3 years. So I could go back and look at what I'd written, like the stuff that had got a few likes. I go, oh, that's all right. So I write that down. And I went to a music open mic night in Exeter, and it was all guitarists, and I rocked up there with a carrier bag full of cardboard and about 40 one-liners, and it was a guitarist, Elvis impersonator, guitarist, and then it was about to end, and I went, can I do some jokes? And there's all these music people stood around, and I was just doing one-liners to all these to these people who come to see music. They seem to enjoy it. But I did that a few times, and then there was a comedian who moved to Australia now called Ben Laverick, and he came to the music open mic night because he also plays guitar when he's not doing comedy, and he was like he goes, you do realise there's a comedy open mic night? And I was like, what is a comedy open? This is as if you're supposed to know this sort of thing, So then I went to that one, and it was good because then you meet all the local people. And then from there they go, oh, we're doing an open mic here in 2 weeks' time, we should come to that. And then someone goes, oh, we're doing one here, and then you sort of work your way around. But before that, you're sort of going in blind, aren't you? You don't know what to expect, what you're meant to be doing. But no, it's good. That was my starting. So I started with the Twitter jokes, just kept writing, and then by the time I got to my first gig, I'd written 300-400. So it gives you something to look through. You can pick the best ones, then, can't you?
Yeah. And do you prefer Twitter then or Twitter now? With character length, I suppose.
Well, yeah. Well, I do either, to be fair. I never get as far as 280 characters anyway. So I was quite happy with 140 back in the day. But I mean, it's changed a lot for me, because up until a year ago, I only had 1,000 followers. And then in July last year, I thought, I'm going to just try and get a few more. And I'm almost on 9,000 in a year later. So that's just from a year of trying to make the account bigger. And you find that you can post. I can post a joke now that I posted 2 years ago that got 3 likes then, and if I post it now, it'll get like 80, 90, 100. Yeah. And effectively, the only thing that's changed is the audience. Yeah. So it's like a gig. You could go, a gig didn't go great. It could be the audience, couldn't it? If you did that same material on a different night to different people, it's a completely different reaction. And so what you thought was rubbish material that didn't get a laugh at one place, you try it somewhere else and it does really well. So it's a similar sort of thing like that, isn't it? It's performing it to the right people, I suppose.
Where are you based, Alf?
North Devon.
So you're still in Devon now, and do you? I presume you've gigged in London, and do you notice a difference between London and outside London?
Well, I've done a few. I've done a few in London. I did Museum of Comedy for one of the new competition or something, and I did. There's a pub there's a stand-up club next to the Comedy Store. So I did that one, but that was for a competition, and I turned up there to do props and puns, and the whole crowd was Swedish. So I drove all the way from Devon, did 5 minutes to silence, then came home again.
Did you have to take the stock home?
Oh, lovely. Very nice.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
I think that's one of the frustrating things sometimes with Twitter. You think, I know I've done it, where you think, right, this is the one. This is the one that's going to go viral. Yeah. This is it.
It's
yeah.
You find that with Twitter, you can get away with like wordplay a lot easier than you can on on stage. Yeah. It's like I've got this joke that I tried on stage twice, and it was something like it's a conversation type one, so it's what dishwasher powder did you use? Finish. And then I go, oh, sorry, Mita Astian Kestepu Kekut. So it's me saying the whole thing in Finnish, which requires me to learn Finnish for that phrase. And it didn't get a laugh. So on Twitter, brilliant. Excellent on Twitter, but not on stage. So.
Right. And do you have a day job, or is comedy everything?
No, I'm a graphic designer.
So if you're a graphic designer, you'll know that Bob Marley was a graphic designer because he sang "I Shot the Seraph."
I thought you were going to do with someone else, and I thought you were going to say his printer kept jamming. That's where I thought you were going.
No, but the thing is, I was dating a graphic designer. It didn't go well because she had the wrong typeface.
That's good. That's a very good joke.
Sorry. Yeah.
So, do you have a specific process for writing your puns?
Not really. No, it's just listening to conversation and or sometimes it's seeing a joke that someone else has written and gone, oh, there's this in that. There's another way. There's words that they could have used there that I can turn into something else. Yeah. So it's just listening and observing other people's stuff, really.
But it's clear that creativity goes hand in hand with writing these kinds of jokes. I'm a copywriter, and I used to write headlines for the Sunday People sports section, and they were all puns. And it's that kind of creative twist where something comes to you, you're listening to the radio, and an innocuous phrase comes out, and then you think, there's a joke there. So it happens all the time.
Yeah. Because I'm a graphic designer. Sometimes I'll be at work and I'll think, oh, this would work well as a prop. And I've done it before. I've written a joke in a day. I've made a prop on the computer. Like I've got a picture. I've printed it off. I've gone home that night, stuck it on a bit of card, and gone straight off to a gig in Bridgewater, and tried it on stage that night from a prop that the idea I'd thought of like 3 hours earlier.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think that is one of the things with puns as well, is you can, on the way to a gig, think of one and think, right, I'm going to drop that in the set, and it's not like a 5-minute bit. What's the phrase? It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Every so often, one will stick.
There's an awful lot that don't stick, though. That's the thing. I've had it before when I've driven to a gig and I've gone, "Oh, this is an excellent line." I thought of it in the car. I thought, "Oh, this is going to work. This is going to knock on dead." And then I've done it on stage and I've messed up the delivery or something, or I've just done it as it was meant to be, and it's got nothing. And I've gone, "You fool! You should have stayed with your pre-prepared material."
How do people react? We've talked about this in the podcast with the interviewees, and we've discussed this with everyone. But how do you see how, particularly, I mean, the audiences are quite young, how they react to these kind of jokes? I don't like the term dad jokes. I think it's offensive. The Americans tend to call it wordplay. How do you think people react to our kind of humour?
If you go into, say, if I walk into a room for a gig and I look around and it's a male audience, say, mostly male, over 40, boom, that's excellent. That's what that would be the ideal. That would be the ideal room for wordplay. If I walked into a room and it was a Women's Institute meeting, I'd be dreading it because I don't think they wouldn't want to hear that. Yep. So in which case I'd start doing more of my props and more of some of the musical bits that I do, just to minimize the amount of wordplay. But younger crowds seem to a lot of the Bristol crowds seem to enjoy it. Bristol being a university city that's got a lot of open mics in, you go there and you do puns and wordplay and stuff, and they like that. So it's completely what you'd not expect. You expect young people to want a more conversational observation sort of style, and it's not that at all. They happily laugh at daft jokes and stuff. So,
do you have a favourite pun of your own?
I've got a few. Most of the ones, my favourite ones, are ones that I can't really do on stage anymore because they've been stolen by Facebook and stuff like my real name's Lance, which isn't a common name nowadays, but in medieval times people were called Lance a lot. That's one of mine.
Brilliant. That's brilliant, man. That's absolutely brilliant.
Or there's one of the ones I did on Britain's Got Talent did well as well, which was I've recently taken up blindfolded archery, which if you've never tried it, you don't know what you're missing.
I loved your one about the burglary and
comfort. Yes, someone broke into my house and stole everything from my utility room, everything apart from a small pot of fabric softener, which I suppose is some comfort.
This is it. You're making up. It's a beginning, middle, and end.
Yes.
You're making up a story from a random word or product.
That's it.
And they call it dad's jokes, and they just don't understand how clever these gags are.
Yeah, it takes a lot. You start off with a pun, and then I always find that I tend to do one-liners more than puns. But it's more a three-liner. I quite like a three-liner.
Go on, then give us a three-liner.
So I've got one where I go. I've had some bad news recently, and I get the crowd to go and then I go because recently my obese parrot died, and it is, however, a huge weight off my shoulders. That's a good one.
That's a three-liner. Yeah, I like that. It's like a three-line whip.
That's it. Yeah, it's essentially a one-liner, but just stick something else before it, and for the rhythm of it seems to, there's a few that I do. I've got one where I go, growing up we didn't have a lot of money. I had a hand-me-down calculator with no multiplication symbol. Times were hard. It seems to makes it flow. It makes it flow a bit better, I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrific. Brilliant. We love it. Will you come on our show?
Kyle keeps booking it for days when I've got gigs.
You're too popular.
I'm too popular.
Too many gigs.
I've got some. I haven't got too many.
So, how did you find the whole Britain's Got Talent experience?
Oh, that was a strange day. I got to the London Palladium at 8:00 in the morning. Sat around in waiting rooms backstage doing interviews and stuff. I didn't get on stage until it was almost 8:00 at night. So that was whole 12 hours of hanging around at the London Palladium, just talking to people, sitting in a waiting room, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh, you're on stage now," and you've gone, "What? Okay," and then they drag you around to see Ant and Dec. You stand outside, and then you go, they just go, "Right, here's a microphone. Go over there to that star and talk to the judges." And you're like, okay. And you walk out there, you look up at the London Palladium with 3,000 people there. And it's like, oh dear, this isn't going to go well, is it? But it's excellent. Once I was on stage, and my wife was there watching, and one of the Bristol comedians who I know was there as well in the audience, because he was a TV warm-up act. Because they've got a warm-up act there who tells jokes and stuff between, just to keep everyone happy. And I knew him because he came and found me backstage, because they had to remake all my props, and he saw them remaking this giant passport, and he was like, "Oh, Alf's here somewhere." So he came backstage, and and that was good. That made me feel a bit better. I wasn't quite so nervous when I knew there was people, like fairly local people there that I knew.
Yeah.
And it was just Simon Cowell wasn't there because he turned up late, but that's the three judges that were there. They seem to enjoy it. David Walliams seemed to enjoy it. So
you had a standing ovation off Walliams.
I did, yes, yeah. That was that was a bit, it's weird. Just stood on stage doing one-liners, and then they all came backstage and shake my hand and give me a hug and all that afterwards. So it was great fun.
Brilliant.
Going back to Twitter, when I was doing research, I saw was it last year when you sent out postcards instead of tweets for a day?
Yeah, that was. I thought it was something fun to do. I think I sent to 50 people in total, and there's people in America, people in Ireland. So I wrote five new jokes, and I put a joke on each postcard and stuck them in an envelope. So everyone got 5 postcards in an envelope with a new joke on each of them, and then I put on open until the 1st of December. And then I made the 1st of December. I was like, I'm not going to be online all day, so everyone else can post my jokes for me. Yeah. So then I come back to Twitter on the 2nd, and with a million notifications, and everyone else posted pictures of my postcards and stuff. Yeah. So that was good. I'm trying to do something for this year as well. I wanted to do an advent calendar, but I can't really get anywhere online to print them. So the best I can do, I think I'm going to do an online advent, not an online, a physical little magazine. So Alf's Advent magazine, a joke on each page, and then you can turn the page each day and get a new joke. So I started writing new jokes for that already. Oh, nice. So that'll be it, and that's something like that I can send out quite easily in the post. So
and you've got your book.
Oh yes, I got a book. This is so well. I only started it in May of this year, because I've been doing jokes on Twitter for almost 10 years now. Go back through and it's just 350 of the best ones, really. It's I've got a copy of it here beside my desk actually. Look at that. I forgot the camera on, so you can't see.
Please give us a plug.
It's available on Amazon. We put in Alf, That's All Jokes, it's called. As in Looney Tunes, That's All Folks, but That's All Jokes. It's available on Amazon. You can get a Kindle copy. It's good. Yeah, it's got pictures in it. I've done some cartoons and stuff in there, and visual little bits, and 350 jokes. So
and the link to the book will be in the show description as well. We'll check that in as well.
Oh, very kind. Cheers.
And as I mentioned in your intro, you're very high up on the league tables in the lunch puns.
I enjoy that because it's a new joke. It's meant to be. They like people to enter a new joke. Okay, so is trying to write something new each day. I haven't done anything this week actually yet, so
No,
I've been a bit slacking.
I get to 1 o'clock and it's like I haven't done it. It's just. But you're doing really. You often win Joke of the Day and Joke of the Week.
They have a celebrity judge every now and then do it as well. So it's quite. I think Gary Delaney was one of their celebrity judges once.
He's the daddy.
He voted mine second for the month, so that was quite nice. I was like, I met him recently actually as well, because we went to see him in Launceston. He was on his tour in Launceston, and my mate knows the support act, so he was hopefully going to be having tea with him before the gig, but Gary couldn't make it for that. So after the gig, he stopped around for half an hour talking, and I've never met the guy. And yet he recognised me. He goes, "You're one of the one-liner guys." I'm like, oh, Gary Delaney knows who I am.
My God, that's really something.
That's one for the poster as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was really nice, and his show is very good actually. So if you get a chance to go and see his show,
he's great.
He is on the wish list for the podcast. So if he's listening, get in touch.
Absolutely.
You
have done UK Pun Off. I know you're doing it Sunday.
I did it this week. I got a message today, and it was like, "Can you do it this Sunday? We need to know now." I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I." I'm sure it'll be fine. And before I had said it, almost I was on the post. I was like, "Well, I can't undo it now, can I?"
Great stuff.
And how have you found getting back to live gigs after sort of a year of no gigs?
Yeah, not great. I've had more cancelled. I think I've lost 2 in the last week of people still cancelling it for venues with people catching COVID at the venue, so they cancelled the gig. So I think I've lost 2 in the last week, and I've only got 4 booked in before the end of the year, in fairness. So a bit slacking really.
So who are your favourite punsters on the circuit that you've encountered over the years?
Oh, there's so many, isn't it? Who do I like? Well, Noel James is one of them. I've gigged with Noel a few times. I think I've gigged with Craig Dealey before. He's quite good. I gigged with him in Bridgewater. But Tony Cowards is excellent.
Tony's brilliant.
Yeah. You find since like the pandemic and everything's gone online, you find things like the UK Pun Off. You're gigging more with one-liners. Usually you go to a gig and you're the only one on the bill who's a one-liner.
Yeah.
And now you've got all these gigs springing up, UK Pun Off, Punderdome, which is the American one.
The American one, I did that, yeah.
Yeah. How'd you get on?
I got through. I won the mini competition on Facebook, and I was sent packing in the first round. The interesting thing about that is that the Americans see puns, or wordplay as they call it, much less about the delivery and more about, it's a bit like Scrabble, it's more about playing the game. So I think we've had 3 or 4 Americans on. They've all been absolutely brilliant, but I think they see it in a different way to us. But I enjoyed it. It's good fun.
Yeah, you find that a one-liner is different in America than like it is over here. When you're watching someone like one of my favourites is Dimitri Martin.
Oh yeah,
His one he does one-liners, but there seem to be more thinky.
On our last show, we had Ben Emmett, who does UK Pun Off quite a bit.
He's one of the lunch pun people as well, isn't he? He does lunch pun.
He's very good, yeah.
Yeah.
And Daniel Edison, I think he's definitely one.
He's one of my favourites actually.
He's very clever.
If you ask me like my 5 favourite jokes, one of them would be a Daniel Edison joke. He's got one of them where he goes something like, I'm cooking a Comet burger for tea. Is it meaty? Oh, it's meaty, all right.
His wordplay is...
It's superb. He's definitely a very bright guy. I love him.
Yeah. There's a few other ones I like as well, because when I go to Edinburgh most years for the Fringe, and they have a one-liner show up there every dinner
Right.
time they have a one-liner show, and there's 6 or 7 comedians on there, and it's hosted by a guy called Masai Graham, and he's won Joke at the Fringe twice, I think now. And I think the one he won it with was something like, my dad suggests I register for a donor card. He's a man after my own heart. It's worth going up there for the
that's
Fringe.
a great joke.
Yeah,
That's a great joke. It's amazing. You can sit and listen to a 5-minute set of observational humour, and you might have 3 or 4 laughs, but potentially when we're up there, you can get 30 laughs in 3 minutes.
That's it. Value for money.
Potentially.
Did you go up to Edinburgh this year, Alf?
No, I didn't. It was weird because all my friends were posting pictures from Edinburgh and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I want to be there," and then half of them caught COVID, so I'm like, maybe it's probably for the best. I think.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
A bit too soon, maybe, but yeah, it's nice. Nice seeing people still going up there. Some of my friends, my friend Madron, he's up there this year, and
we love Madron. We love him.
He's excellent. He's he's very, very funny.
He's terrific. That persona, it's just perfect. And the little things that come with it, wiping down the microphone stand for fingerprints purposes. He's just got the lot, that lad.
I keep trying to tell him. I keep trying to talk him into writing a radio series, or at least trying just to, because I think because his act would work well as a radio series sort of.
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he started late, like I did. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't really matter. That quality of writing, and that's what I can't remember who talked about him. Someone was talking about him the other day. Oh yeah, it's Jerry Bakewell. You know Jerry Bakewell, the wrestler.
I've seen a picture. I've never met him.
Yeah.
But
he's good. He's very good. And what I like him. He's a bit zany. But what he said to me was, the difference between me and Madron is that Madron writes jokes and I just play around and arse around on stage, but which he does very well, by the way. But he said that Madron's writing is just absolutely brilliant, and it is. It's Test Match Tony, his cellmate in the prison. Sent him out to do a post office, and he came back 5 days later.
Quite often we talk about jokes online. He'll send me stuff quite often, and then we'll try and make some characters up. And then we always try and, like, I wrote something like Teflon Tony was his nickname, but it didn't stick. Stuff like
that. Great stuff. Have you ever had people saying to you, "I've heard that joke before"?
No.
Okay.
But I had a gig in Stroud, and a man came up to me afterwards, and he went, "That was terrible. Those jokes, yes, that was on purpose. You were doing it badly on purpose, weren't you?" And I was like, "Not really," but I didn't say that. I was like, "Yeah, it was intentionally bad. That was what I was trying to do. It's an intentionally bad joke, but really, I was thinking, you didn't like my jokes." What I have had, is people send me my own jokes. Online, like I've told I've told a joke, and then someone's replied with another joke, but that joke they've replied with is one that they've nicked off me anyway.
I put my jokes on Twitter. I don't care who nicks them. I'll be honest with you. What the hell, they can nick them. There's been a few that have been nicked.
I had a bit of a rant, not a rant on Twitter, but I think with people taking jokes on Twitter, it's easier, it's easier to retweet or at least give credit to the person.
Yeah.
Cutting and pasting and tweeting it yourself.
That's just ridiculous. I get so much pleasure from reading, jokes like what you do, Alf, and Daniel does, and everyone who writes puns. If I laugh, I just love sharing that with other people. I love it. It's great. We're all in it together, for goodness sake.
Especially if you retweet it, then at least the person who's viewing it can click on the person who wrote it originally, and then they can see what other jokes they've written, and then it's helping other people, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's enough accounts on Twitter and Facebook that just take them wholesale. Not that mine have ever been good enough to be stolen, but it's just when you see it, and I think the pun community are quite close. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
as you said with Madron, I have emails from or Facebook messages from people saying, "These are the jokes I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? Have you heard anything like this before?"
I'm interested to know, how do you get your inspiration? I mean, I don't sit down to write jokes. I just, like as I said, I hear something on the radio, whatever, I pass a sign in the street, and I just send it to myself by email on the phone. But how do your jokes come to you?
I tend to write them in full. If I hear a word, like let's say like footloose and fancy free is a phrase. Someone said that, and I was like, all right, so you split that up. There's footloose in there, which is the film. And fancy free. So fancy would be French cake. And then in one go, I wrote. I split out with my wife because she was stealing from me. She stole all my Kevin Bacon films and all my small French cakes. But on the plus side, I'm now footloose and fancy free. I wrote that in one go like that, so I don't tend to work. I don't tend to work on stuff. I'd rather write it all in one go. I tend to ditch stuff too soon. I should really work on it more. But I'll write it, and that's effectively how the joke stays forever.
Right. Do you like spoonerisms?
I like spoonerisms. Yeah. Idioms, spoonerisms, all that sort of thing. Yeah.
I think if done occasionally, I think they work well. But I think too many is not a good idea on a set.
No, I don't really do them on sets. I do them on Twitter, but I wouldn't do something like that at a gig.
Are you a notebook person, or do you type them in straight into your phone, or?
I type them straight on Twitter and press send usually.
That's the way to do it. Yeah,
and then I can go back over and see what got the most likes and stuff, and go from there. I mean, in 2019, I set myself a challenge to write 5 jokes a day. And I've got a whole book full now, of most of it. It was largely terrible, but amongst that there was some good stuff. I flick through it every now and then and go, oh, that was quite good. Maybe I should work on that or try doing that again somehow, differently. But it's just getting into the habit of writing, isn't it? As long as this is where something like Lunch Pun, where you're constantly trying to think of something new, but you find that with like all the one-liner people. You've got to keep writing, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find it sometimes difficult to remember them on stage?
Yes. So for new material, I go on with a bit of paper because I'm not going to remember 40 new jokes. So I just have it as a piece of paper on the table.
It's very difficult. Yeah, it's really hard.
But because I do props as well, I can write 5 jokes on the back of a prop. Yeah. So I can do a prop and then look at the back of the prop and it'll say, do this, like 4 other jokes on the back, and then it looks like I'm remembering.
That's what Tim Vine does as well. Apparently, he said it in the middle of an act once.
Oh, right.
He's very good. And out of the kind of, we'll call them the people on TV, Milton Jones and Stuart Francis, who's now retired, and Gary Delaney. Who's your kind of all-time favourite of that crowd?
Oh, so many. It probably would be Tim Vine.
Well, I mean, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
And it's really great that you came on. We've had such quality people. I have to say, everyone who's done the interview is very special. Thanks so much, Alf. And we are going to be plugging your book. And I hope we can share a stage with you one day.
Yeah, no worries.
Really good.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been enjoyable. Thank you.
So what a brilliant interview with Alf. Really interesting. Obviously, him and Mark have graphic design in common.
Well, except he's a designer. I employ graphic designers. But it's interesting that you can transfer a skill that's creative, visually creative, into wordplay that's creative. And I think a lot of people who are on the comedy circuit are creative type people.
Yeah. and I'm going to get in touch with him to find out how he built his Twitter following so much in a year.
Yes, he's got nearly 10,000 followers.
And that's it for this episode. We'll be back next month with your usual features as they now are, and another interview. I'm Kyle Davis.
And I'm Mark Rivlin. And if you want to be interviewed, let us know.
Especially if your name's Gary Delaney.
Yes,
We'll
indeed.
get it.
That would be very good.
If you want to find us, we are on Twitter at Punchline Pod UK. Or if you want to follow either myself or Mark, I'm at Kyle Comedian.
And I'm at MR_punman, one word.
There you go. Have a lovely month. I'm off now because I have a gig tonight. Lovely to see you as always, Mark.
Lovely to see you as well, young man.
Yeah, I shall catch you soon. And goodbye, everyone.
Bye.